Hello. Hi, Shirley Graff. Shirley Graff, I'm here front and center. Nice to see you, Shirley. Happy, is it Thursday? Happy Thursday. I'm glad you could make it. I think we might be a little bit lonely at the moment. There doesn't seem to be that many people here, but that's okay. I had a video planned about Megan again and her ex-Mormon snark channel, which I am finding increasingly hi, random old lady. Happy Thursday to you. I'm finding it increasingly alarming. You know, I never really followed Megan very much before. I just found her really off-putting. Hi, Michelle. Hi, CHCH. Yay, people are here. I always found Megan kind of off-putting, so I never really watched her. But I wasn't looking to tear her down particularly. I just didn't find her particularly inspiring or interesting. But I thought that she was making efforts to kind of expose the inner workings of the LDS church and kind of, provide a platform for people who were questioning or wanting to leave the church, that kind of stuff. Hi, Miami Dottie. Nice to see you. And I admired that as a motivation. And as I've gotten to know Megan, I have discovered that Megan's motivation is literally about getting attention and fame and clicks on the internet. And she doesn't give a shit about Mormons or anyone else. Hi, this normal Idaho mom. And so I have, it's been a bit of a shock to me, honestly. Like, hi, HMS. Gen X lady, nice to see you. It's been a bit of a shock to me to find out just how empty and devoid of insight or anything at all that Megan actually is. The first time I paid any real attention to her was when she was making, showing her whole ass on the internet and defending Lauren and her 9-hour live. Hi, Kathy Gregg. And her, and the, copyright has its rights to statements, stuff like that. But then when I started looking into her, I discovered that everything she does is like that. Like she's just, she never lived the faith anyway, right? She just is, hi, One Way Street, nice to see you. And yes, the fabulous chat. It is a fabulous chat. I'm always very impressed by this chat. Everybody is so thoughtful. And I don't mean thoughtful, considerate of other people. I mean thoughtful as in you're also interesting and have interesting thoughts and interesting insights and interesting analyses to contribute. And I love that. One of my favorite things about going back to university when I was in my 50s was all the fun conversations that I got to have with people. Hello, Laura Dawson Butcher. Nice to see you. And I get a similar feel in this chat, right? Lots of interesting, intelligent people who are thoughtful and considerate and educated and have great stuff to add, right? I really appreciate that. It's one of the things that being a loner, I'm a loner for good reason, but I really miss that, right? I really miss connecting with people and talking about things that matter to me. So I love this chat for that reason. So I should say, I don't have any particular credentials for this. I'm an ex-mechanic with an English degree. Hi, Dental Lori. Glad you could make it. And I have some skills with these people. I was raised by toxic people in a toxic family situation. And then I went on, like many people in those situations, I went on to duplicate those relationships in the, thank you, One Way Street. I appreciate that. I went on to duplicate those relationships in my adult life because, everything about them felt familiar. So, it's been, a lot of my life and I'm not, this is no word of a lie and no hyperbole at all. A lot of my life has been wasted literally in trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with people because I had so many of these types of people in my life. And I have always been fairly outspoken and fairly straightforward with people. This was constantly getting me into trouble everywhere, in school, in work, in relationships, in family, everywhere. Constantly, I was running up against people telling me that I was a terrible person, that I was a control freak, that it was me who was in the wrong, that I was too exacting, that I didn't forgive enough, that I was cold, that I was all those things, right? Adelson Hater, nice to see you. Hello. And so when I finally got the information that I needed to explain all of this to me, I realized literally how much of my life I have spent trying to untangle the BS of, toxic manipulator type people. So, for whatever reason, maybe because I love language and because I have that kind of analytical mind or whatever, that apparently I'm good at this, and people seem to like listening to what I have to say about it, and it's absolutely the greatest thrill of my life to be able to interpret some of this for people who are seeking, like I am, answers for what the fuck. So, yeah, if you want to support the channel, you can like the video, please do. You can share, you can subscribe to the channel, you can become a member. In the pinned comment and in the description of the video are links to penny chats where you can donate financially to my PayPal or the buy me a coffee. There's super chats. There's all that stuff. There's loads of ways to contribute, but you don't actually have to. I don't need money necessarily from you. If you just hit the like button, that also supports the channel, and I really appreciate that. Adelson Hater says, it's amazing and sad what a shell of ourselves we become because of the actions of someone we don't even like. Yeah, right? I think a lot of us feel that way, right? Like I have been... Always on my street, may I ask, has any of adult children ever commented? No, not so far. Not so far. I have had an immediate family member of Megan's reached out to me. But that's the only person I have heard from. I have heard rumors that Megan has had issues with her grown children, that she's estranged from a son, at least. And if some of you might recall that Summer mentioned in her statement that she said, I have seen Megan as a mother and I feel sorry for her dog. So I feel like that's, hi, I'm Spacebird. Glad you're here. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. I cannot tell you. I have spent my life like fending off people telling me what a terrible person I am. And the whiplash of coming here and people saying nice things to me is really something. And it sometimes, honestly, it takes a toll on me because I'm just not used to all the positive attention. So, yeah, no, that's fair enough. One Way Street. I think that's a fair question. She's One Way Street says, I was asking respectfully, not to cause issues. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think it's a very good question. She has apparently raised 6 children, and we know what she's like. So, we can assume that her children have had to experience some of that. Hi, Deadly Queens. Glad you can make it. This Normal Idaho Mom says, Megan sure seems like the toxic family member that every other family member finds themselves in therapy over. Very much, right? She reminds me a lot of my own sister, who's very cold, very calculating, and very cruel and very deliberate in all of that. So, anyway, so I think my you guys know that she came back after her failure to thrive. She came back and blamed us all for saying mean things about her for her failure to thrive. And she announced that everything is changing. And then she said, but I'm not going to tell you how. because she wants us to come back and watch her next video. But my feeling is that she's really her big change is that she's doubling down on her Mormon channel. And it is growing. They have gained another 100 subscribers or something like that in the last month or so. They've got like 1,700 subscribers now. But hey, Summer. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you could get here. Summer says, hi, Penny in chat. Just popped in. Not sure I can stay long, but wanted to say hi. Well, hi. We were just talking about you and your take on Megan as a mother, being that you feel sorry for her dog. So I'm glad you could make it, even if just for a little while. Always a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, so what I watched this episode, the Megan's recent episode of Ex-Mormon Snark. One of them is about, what's it called? It's called The Secret Mormon Hierarchy That They Won't Admit Exists. Summer says, I only saw Megan as a mom with her elder children when they were young. I cannot speak to whether teenagers or adult children. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I think most of us can guess. Thank you, random old lady. Oh my goodness, that's so generous of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I always love the shared memberships because then everybody wins. I think that's great. Yeah, so I watched the episode, and it's called The Secret Mormon Hierarchy. Hang on a second. Let me just remove this guy. This guy. Share this tab. Okay, so the episode is called The Secret Mormon Hierarchy They Never Admit Exists. And I watched it, and I was so appalled by it that I felt like I needed to do the research that they didn't do, so that I would have something of value to share, even though Megan and Kirsten don't. So it took me about 4 seconds to punch in patriarchy in the LDS church into Google Scholar. And it came up with all of these articles and books: Understanding Compliance in Patriarchal Religions, Mormon Women and the Latter-day Saints Church as a Case Study, Reproducing Patriarchy and Erasing Feminism, Patriarchal Bargaining. All these things that they clearly didn't read a single one of, but that they could have found in 2 seconds, literally in 2 seconds. And when I just straight up Googled, hierarchy and patriarchy in the LDS church, I got a lot of various different videos from YouTube popped up that were interesting. So I spent like 2 or 3 hours today listening to some videos and reading a little bit. I didn't get very far in any of those scholarly articles, but just looking at some stuff. And okay, maybe I don't need to show you these videos now. I'll show you as we go along. But I just looked at a video about, like, what is patriarchy? Where did it come from? I looked at a video of a woman by the name of Amy McPhee, or Amy McPhee, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe some of you will know her. She wrote an article called, hang on, I wrote it down. What's it called? Dear Mormon Man, where she explains, she turns the tables and she describes to him her life, only with the tables turned. So he's a little boy growing up in a matriarchy, and God is a woman, and all of the leaders of his church are women, and he gets to, so the exact same thing that women go through, that women and girls go through in the church, but just flipped around. And she published it, and it got a lot of traction, and she eventually made an animated film about it, and she has a channel called Breaking Down Patriarchy. She's a master's student, or she was at the time of the interview that I listened to, and she's out there. I feel like Megan, that's who Megan thinks that she is, right? She thinks that she's this Amy McPhee who is out here actually making a difference for Mormons, and Mormons who are questioning, and never Mormons, people like me. I learned a fair bit from listening to her about the Mormon church. So there are a lot of channels out here that are offering advice, education, insight, analysis, interesting approaches, support, help, etc. And Megan is offering like just garbage, bullshit, nonsense, right? Just the most inane, shrieking with laughter. So I think basically her thing is that she now wants to be Kirsten. She's tired of being Megan and she wants to be Kirsten. So yeah, this is the introduction that I put in, or the description in my own video. I said, once again, Megan and Kirsten demonstrate that they don't care about other people or have anything of substance to offer. In this episode of Ex-Mormon Snark, Megan and Kirsten bore us into submission on the topic of hierarchy, patriarchy in the LDS Church. Their conversation consists largely of outrage, personal reminiscences, and phony, shrieking laughter. They have no insight and offer no real information or education about the LDS faith, the function of the hierarchies, the patriarchy, or society at large. They offer no advice about how to deconstruct the teachings of the faith, nor do they point the viewer in the direction of help. But you can buy their merch. So there's that. So I think that this is Megan's whole everything is changing. I think what it's changing to is this. She thinks that this is her new grift, right? Where she is going to be able to make money by deconstructing Mormonism for all of the sad, sorry Mormons who haven't figured it out yet, like she has, right? So now that I've said all that, I'll just play the video and we can all Katie White says, I've noticed that Smeagol isn't on Web Sleuths if she's in the chat. She's disguised herself. Oh, right. Well, she look out for anybody by the name of Noni in the chats. I got an email from somebody called Noni telling me that I'm pathologically obsessed. So maybe that's Megan. Hello, Rob, Kirsten. Glad you could make it. Nice to see you. So yeah, let's just watch this for a bit and we'll see how it goes. It's pretty tedious, I gotta warn you.
Stop it.
Duh. Just stop it.
Just stop it. And we mean that for the Mormon church too.
So already we're starting with Megan's fake laughter, right? Because that's not funny. Surely Megan knows that's not funny, but she thinks that we think it's funny or something. I don't know. But look at that smarmy look on her face. And look at her little tank top that she's wearing, a little pink tank top that says licked cupcake on it. These shirts that they're wearing are both available in their merch shop. And so I think that Megan is trying to rebrand herself as kind of like a Kirsten, as one of these very bubbly and hysterically laughing, fun to be around type people, instead of the extremely gray and boring school marm that we all know her to be. Thanks, Beehives and Homicides. I appreciate that. Hugs to you. Bye.
I remember, Kirsten, after that talk came out, that every problem that we had between me and my friends, we were always just like, stop it.
Stop it. I know.
So this is it, right? This is the entirety of their analysis. Is I remember that, and this is what I said at the time. They have nothing to say about what does that mean? What does that imply for the Mormon community? What is that, like, nothing, right? What does that mean for women? What is nothing? They're just like, I remember that.
They're like,
I know.
Oh, my battery's dead. Stop it.
Stop it. I know. Same. That became a whole...
The phony laugh, right? I don't know about Kirsten, if her laughs are phony or if her, like, being that funny, laughy person is one of her coping skills. She does a better job of it than Megan. But I don't get any sincerity from either of them, like that this is funny. Look at Megan's face. Right? Like, this is hysterical to her. Dare I say that Kirsten is the more annoying one? Well, I mean, it is a toss-up, M Spacebird, so I think you dare. But yeah, they are as annoying as each other for sure. But look at Megan's face. Like, why? What is hysterical about this? Why has she got that expression on her face? There's literally nothing hysterical going on here. So she's pretending, and I'm not even sure that she knows she's pretending, right?
Freaking
It was a
thing.
meme before memes were a thing.
I think it's appropriate for our topic tonight.
I do too,
Stop
Kirsten.
it. Stop it, Mormons. Just
Yeah.
stop.
That's the other thing that they do that I find really extremely off-putting is they don't seem to have, they pretend sometimes that they have compassion for Mormons who are struggling with their faith. But for the most part, they are just really condescending and kind of nasty about it, right? And if I was a Mormon that was struggling with my faith, I would feel like I was being talked down to by these two. Yeah, I mean, ASB 50 says, I would wear that to the beach. She's 50 something. Yeah. I mean, I agree. And it's not only that she's 50 something. Like, I mean, I'm 60, right? And I still wear what I want to wear. I just feel like Megan is not a cute, bimbo-y, pink, frilly type of personality. And it's very grating that she's trying to force herself into this, what's the word, persona that is so very opposite of who she is. Yeah, they're condescending, right? They're awful. And like they think that they're being funny, I guess. They think that they're being savvy, that people are sort of looking to them and going, oh, those girls, they're so smart. They're so savvy. And they just aren't, right? They're tone deaf. I mean, they have followers. Some people like this. It's beyond me why, but you know, this Amy McPhee that I'm talking about, she's got somewhere in the neighborhood of 149,000 subscribers, and for good reason. She's smart, she's sincere, she's got the goods, and she is worth the time and effort to listen to her, right? These two, oh God, you turn them off instantly, right? I would turn away immediately if you happen to find in them. Yeah, to run into them or find them. Yeah, they're so off-putting. And the lack of self-awareness is very typical.
By the way, or what are we going to say? Stop having an internal culture that is a bunch of unwritten rules that people outside the culture don't really understand or know how to follow, and then they feel exploited and ostracized by the in-speak and the internal dialogue.
That was a very long sentence. And yes, stop it. Stop all the things that Megan just said. Oh, we have to first saying, hi, I'm Kirsten.
By the way, everybody, I'm Megan.
And I'm Kirsten.
And together, we are Ex-Mormon Snark.
And we are trading testimonies for truth bombs, especially about things they don't like to talk about.
Yes. Things that Mormons don't like to talk about. There's a list. And one of the things on that list is the internal culture of the church and how harmful and damaging it is. The reason they don't like to talk about it is because your experience, your mileage may vary depending upon where you are. Culturally, Utah Mormons are different than California.
I would agree, right? A one-way street says, in my opinion, they both play up the ditzy blonde. Yeah. Only Kirsten is actually a ditzy blonde, and Megan is a boring scold of a gray drab person. So Kirsten can pull off the Dolly Parton in a pink juicy couture tracksuit, and Megan looks like she's playing dress up and needs to go and put on some clothes.
Mormons that are different than East Coast Mormons, that are different than Mormons in the mission field, etc. So Kirsten and I, as always, are going to talk about our own personal experiences, which
because you know what, like they're talking about their own personal experiences, and they're offering that up as though like we are experts because we are Mormons. And in my opinion, you know, personal experience has its place, but it generally has its place as like the experts are doing the paper, are writing the thesis, are doing the presentation, and they have people's experiences as part of their presentation, right? It's not one person's personal experience, it's the entire presentation of, that explains hierarchy in the Mormon faith. Like, it's not possible to do that just from your personal experience. So to me, it's just more evidence of Megan's laziness, right? Her desire to get something for nothing. Hi, Carolyn Grading. Nice to see you, right? This, like, oh, what can I start a channel about that I already have expertise in, and so I don't have to actually work at it or make any effort or do anything. It's just the laziest, because she doesn't seem to have any expertise in anything, right? Like, yes, you're an expert in your own life. Congratulations. But this is supposed to be a podcast to help people deconstruct Mormonism.
May be different and varied from your own.
So the licked cupcake, M Spacebird is asking what WTF does licked cupcake even mean? And it's a thing in the Mormon church. It's pretty gross. Agreeably, like, I do agree with these two that these things do need to be deconstructed and addressed. So the licked cupcake is one of the examples that they use to explain to young women about why premarital sex is not allowed, because nobody wants a cupcake that somebody else licked, right? Nobody wants sloppy seconds, basically, is what they're talking about. And it's gross, right? It's an ugly way to make girls and women feel like their only value is their chastity and stuff like that. And I agree that is not an appropriate way to speak to girls and women. And it's one of the damaging aspects of the patriarchy. These guys want you to buy their merch.
Just because we say it, we always get people in the comments, do we not, Kirsten, who are like, that doesn't happen in the church. Well, guess what? Mm-hmm. It did happen because it happened to us. And we were in the church.
And I promise you this has happened to other people, because this is something even current believing Mormons will joke about these things or talk about it. But the difference is people who are still LDS can talk about it and it's fine, right? It's all fun and games when you make fun of your own people. But as soon as you leave the church, where are your pearls, Megan? We can't talk about it because now we're...
My pearls.
Now we're criticizing the church, right? So we act like that's a whole difference. And you know what? Before we get too far...
Like, this is the extent of what they have to offer. This is it. It never gets any deeper than this. It never gets any more interesting than this. They shriek at you a lot, and they offer you surface, right? It's all storefront. There's nothing in the store. It's all storefront. It's all store window. There's nothing. These people have nothing.
Far into it, Megan, I would like to point out my beautiful decor that I added here.
We desire all to receive it. Well, at least we want people to know about it.
Yes. First, we have our little crocheted tapier, which I don't know if she's in the chat. She usually comes in later. We literally have someone in our subscribers, one of our community members, that crocheted this cute little...
They got 913 views off of this, ASB 412. And they streamed it 6 days ago, and they have 1.77K subscribers. So yeah, they have nothing to say. Like, this is it. She's going to shriek here about the crocheted taper that somebody made and sent to them for a while.
Little tapier. Me and Megan each got one. I know there's a few other people that have gotten them as well. Amazing, amazing little guy, and soft. So if you ever get one, you're very lucky. Mm-hmm. Here we also have the golden plates. Oh, they are not deep in a mountainside, and they weren't taken back by macaroni.
This is the snark part. In case you have been snark hunting, because it's hard to see.
Either.
Right. Elder Angel Macaroni.
Correct. I have them, and hey, a little ASMR.
See, Megan pretends that she likes Kirsten and that she enjoys this, and I would be willing to bet you $1 million that she does not enjoy this at all, and that it's totally exhausting for her because she has to pretend the whole time to be a completely different person than she is, right? Somebody that's upbeat and cheeky, you know, like that. And she's just not like that. She is the school mom, is her natural.
Is that how the girlies do it?
Yes,
The
But
influencers.
Kirsten, I have a question because although those do look golden and they are shaped like plates, they don't seem to have any reformed Egyptian engraved upon them. And I'm curious about the reason why, because obviously they couldn't be sacred unless they had reformed Egyptian.
It's literally like watching somebody bomb on stage at an open mic night. It's so bad. Kathy White says, Smeagol is clinging on for YouTube life. Yeah, she literally is. And she's trying. This is, I think, the reinvention, right? Like, this is very, very different than who she was on the Beautiful Humans channel when she was there to preside over the midlife revolution. And she was going to explain to everybody all about family systems. This is not the same Megan. So she has not had a personality transplant. She's trying to reinvent herself, right? Dental Lori, wasn't I just saying that? That's what they do, these people, right? They when they get figured out in their grift, they just reinvent themselves and go find new victims, right? I am pretty sure this is her plan, is that they're gonna take the internet by storm with their snark
written on them.
Well, it does say made in India, food safe, hand wash only.
Made in India. Kirsten.
Yes.
Did Lehi and his family come from India to the Americas?
Well, see, the thing, Megan, I want to point out, that is a fairy tale. So nobody needs to know where they came from because Justice St. Nicholas is everywhere and no.
Right? It's that snotty, condescending, talking down to Mormonism. And I mean, sure, there are issues in the LDS faith. Absolutely. But it comes off as talking to Mormons that way. And I think if you're going to be in the arena getting your ass kicked, like Megan is so fond of saying, you need to differentiate between Mormons and the Mormon church, or else you're going to come off as an offensive piece of crap. And that's how these guys are coming across, right? They, to me, like I'm, obviously some people like them or whatever, but if I was a Mormon that was questioning my faith and these people were talking down to me like I was an idiot for ever falling for any of that stupid shit, I would not respond to that with, a deeper rethink or a cognitive shift of some kind that would allow me to, maybe explore a new area of, anything at all. I would be completely turned off by this. I mean, I am completely turned off by this, but exactly. Mindy does it so, this normal Idaho mom says, Mindy does it so honestly and also respectfully. Mindy doesn't offend. This is exactly the person I was talking about, this Amy McPhee. Very down to earth, very relatable, very natural. I found myself just relating to her, feeling, just impressed by how intelligent she was and how thoughtful she was about all of it and how much she cared about the community at large. The Mormon community at large, and then also the larger community, right? She did all the things that I was saying. Remember what I was talking about? If you watched the episode where I responded to their Pride episode, And I was saying they didn't do anything. They didn't place any of this in a larger context. They didn't place it in history. They didn't go speak to anybody who's LGBTQ. They didn't do any of that. And this Amy McPhee, she's doing all of that, right? She's doing all of the things that make her legitimate and put Megan and her nonsense to absolute shame. Like, whatever she's doing right now, I don't remember what she was saying when I paused, but it's attention-seeking bullshit. And it has nothing to do with caring about the community or offering the community anything at all. It has to do with Megan feeling better after everybody handing her butt on a plate a few months ago. Hi, Difficult Research Crush. I'm always happy to see you. Sorry I'm late, but I just wanted to remind everyone that Trisha is having family on for her End of the World, again, fundraiser next Sunday. This is her family approved. Oh, God, okay. Ugh. Ugh, that is so gross. Yes, I've been... So what are we doing? Are we having a... What are we doing as a response? Has anybody got a plan? Ugh. I don't even like thinking about that either. That I just get so mad, right? I get so viscerally mad in the face of that kind of stuff that I have a hard time keeping my cool. So sorry. Let's go back to whatever the Megan is up to here. How far have we gotten? Right, we're 4 minutes in because and this is how much garbage we've already had to put up with.
Aware, as is Nephi,
Kirsten,
everywhere and nowhere.
Are you trying to tell me that Saint Nicholas is not real? That is rude.
Oh no, what if there's any children watching?
Oh no, first of all, there should not be children watching.
So Megan is just naturally quite red in the face, eh? Megan is the family approved guest. Trisha is having, oh, for fuck's sake, of course. The one member of the family that nobody fucking wants anything to do with, naturally. Oh my God. These people are so ugly. Yes, thank you, this normal Idaho mom. Hi, Lindsay Hendricks. Nice to see you. And Anders, nice to see you. Yeah, the tomatoes. Yeah, look at this. Look at these two idiots. Yucking it up over here. But they're not like, ugh. The thing is, you could be funny, right? It's not that there's anything actually wrong with kind of being funny in the face of all this either, right? Like, I mean, you could be funny and still not be insulting to Mormons, right? But, oh yeah, maybe Megan will sing for the End of the World party. Wouldn't that be something? God, Summer, Jesus. Don't put it out there in the universe. Not that she needs an invitation. Yeah, she probably will. Okay. Hang on.
We even put it's not for children.
The children.
And we're a big fan of the cursey words. So
yes, we are.
Yeah, maybe this is words. Like Da Vinci Code. But
so Kirsten, wait,
one more thing. No, mine's more important.
Go ahead.
My tablecloth here is also the beautiful apron that was gifted to us by Jenna Lynn.
Do you mean Satan's apron?
Satan's apron, yeah.
Yeah, because Satan is the one that tells them in the temple to put on the apron. Kirsten.
Yes.
I want people to understand that right now, the golden plates are in the room, sort of.
Yes.
Because we're in the same studio, although we are on different parts of the country, very far away from each other. But the golden plates are in the room. So let me tell you what the golden plates say.
Oh, yeah.
They say that, and I shit you not.
Yes.
Kirsten went down unto the place of business and she had a bad time.
Oh,
and therefore, all of you should pray harder that lest ye should have a bad time at your job. If you are wicked, ye shall have a bad time at your job. And if ye are faithful, your job shall be a great blessing and a boon unto your family for the ages, henceforth and forever.
Wow.
Amen.
You are literally making all the things up as well as.
So Lindsay Hendricks says, what is happening? And I'm thinking some people are passing out cold from the effects of melatonin moralizing Megan, trying to be funny. I don't know. I am almost dying of the cringe of watching somebody fail on an open mic night. Like, it is so bad. And look at her. Everybody praise me because I'm so funny. So I don't know what that was. I think that was Megan prophesying. She was speaking into a hat. And I think it was supposed to be a prophecy. She was reading off of the plates. I'm not a Mormon, but I gather that the plates were found by Joseph Smith or somebody, the first guy, in the side of a mountain, and they had writings on them that said all of this is the final one true religion, that God, the rest was all just a prologue, and this is the final true religion, and it was all written on the plates, I think. And I think Megan was pretending to read prophecy off the plates, and the prophecy was something to do with Kirsten buying whatever schlocky fake brass plates those were. That is my understanding of what we just watched.
Was Joseph. So,
What?
but you used your WTF
Kirsten,
hat. You
I
used
didn't
your
make
WTF
anything
hat.
up. I had, I mean, it's not a rock, okay?
Right.
I
It's a seashell, isn't it?
I do have
Yeah.
seashells in the hat. I have a seashell of curious workmanship, Kirsten. No
Mhm.
man could make a seashell like that. Only God
That's
can make a
true.
seashell this way. And when you put it in the hat, it reveals marvelous works and wonders unto me. And if you don't believe that, you should just stop it.
You should just stop it.
Stop it.
We should.
You see that? See that callback? That callback to stop it from the beginning. Hi, sips of coffee. Yeah. Pretty gross. Gross, but also like, what? What? Is she sober? I don't know. I don't know. She's not funny. I know that.
Should get going. People were here to hear the secrets of the temple, and people are leaving. And do you blame them?
Wait a second. We're not doing the secrets of the temple tonight.
People are leaving.
We did that already.
Secrets of the Mormonism hierarchy. You're right. I'm sorry. I got confused because I had the temple apron here.
But first, I do want to point out to everyone that I'm wearing a tank top that Kirsten made specifically for me, labeled Licked Cupcake. If you were ever told as a child that if you kissed a boy, you would be like a licked cupcake and no one would ever want you, this tank top is for you. You can find it at our store at myshopify.no. Sorry. What is it?
Buy our merch. Buy our merch. And you know what? She doesn't even know the right website for her merch because that's how invested she is in any of this.
No. Well, it's Outer Snarkness.
Outer Snarkness.
Outersnarkness.
My Shopify. Oh.
No, just outersnarkness.com. Yeah.
Kirsten, I'm so excited. I forgot that you have your own website now. It is outersnarkness.com. It has all the merch. It has all the things. It has stickers. It has.
Right? She forgot that Kirsten has her own website now. This is how devoted she is to her friend and this whole business venture together. How much effort she's put into it.
Buttons. It has hats. It has mugs. It has t-shirts. It has tank tops. All of the snarkiest things created specifically for you by Kirsten. And if you have any requests, by all means,
I take them.
Send them to us at Life After LDS.
I think we've figured out why they're here and what they have to offer. They have snarky merch is the extent of what they have to offer.
At gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, we have so much coming. I mean, we have the paint night coming up July 25th. The link is up on outersnarkness.com. We're trying to just have everything the same place. So outersnarkness.com. .com. The Mormon Church can't come and get us for using Mormon anywhere. And you can go sign up. July 25th. It's a Saturday, 3 to 6 p.m. We're doing a very fun painting. So, yes.
I just want to address this comment real quick by Trevor Larson, because we've never talked about this, but we need to at some point. You have to, at some temples, especially the larger temples, you can rent clothing. And I actually did this when I went to the Salt Lake Temple. I was traveling. I didn't bring my temple bag with me. I rented a temple dress for the low price of $2.35. And supposedly that $2.35 is a cleaning fee that they use to pay for the water and the detergent. They don't pay for the labor, however, which is why it's so cheap. And you can also go down into the cafeteria and have something to eat at the temple, at some temples. The smaller temples do not have a cafeteria, but for example, the Salt Lake Temple, some of the larger temples. And the fact that they...
Oh, gosh, she's so boring. Like, I don't even know what she's talking about, and I was listening to her. Difficult Research Kresha says, the sleeveless tank top screams, I'm a young 20-year-old girl, not someone in a midlife crisis. Far from a revolution, in my opinion. Actually, I do feel that it does sort of scream, I'm in a midlife crisis. I think that it screams that. I think you're right. But yeah, like, and so Kirsten designed it for her. So either Kirsten is taking the piss out of Megan, or Kirsten couldn't read can't read a person at all if she thinks that suits Megan or is suitable for Megan to wear. So I'm hoping that it's that she's trolling the shit out of Megan, because I would appreciate that.
They charge you to rent the clothes that you are required to wear at the temple. And then also they're like, there are many temple workers who will work an all-day shift and they need a lunch break. And so they provide them with a cafeteria, but they make them pay for food after they're already providing free labor for all of those hours.
Yes.
I will tell you, Kirsten, I don't know if I've told you this before. My step-grandfather served a mission in his aged condition at the St. George Temple. And he lived on the grounds of the St. George Temple. And it was his job every day to go do sessions all day, every day.
Although, I have to say, Difficult Research, Kresha, their response to this ex-Mormon snark, their whole attitude towards this is actually very adolescent. And the way that it's like they don't, this is not like a thoughtful, considered response to hierarchy in the Mormon Church, right? This is like teenagers trolling them because that's the level of their sophistication. Like, they have recognized that it's bullshit, but they're sophisticated. They're not sophisticated enough to do a considered expose of it. All they can do is sort of poke fun. And these girls, Kirsten is 40-something, right? Megan is 50-something. And they are responding to this like it's very Beavis and Butthead in a way, right?
At the St. George Temple. He served a temple
like
mission.
Wow.
So for 2 years, he provided free labor to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by performing temple ordinances. And I can't remember which TikTok creator, so please forgive me, I'm so sorry, pointed this out. That
why is she lisping? Is she lisping? Yeah, I think you're right, Lucia. Yeah, Lucia says, I'm betting that Megan considers herself highly sophisticated. Oh, she absolutely does. And she thinks that this is snark, what they're doing. She thinks it's snark. We haven't even gotten to the offensive part of the video yet, and I'm already offended.
Mormons go and do all this temple service for dead people.
Yes.
And it makes them feel like they're doing actual service, but there are plenty of living people who need assistance and need actual service, but the Mormons don't do that because It's much more important to work on their eternal salvation. Anyway, I'm down a rabbit hole. We can talk about that another time. That's not the topic for tonight, but thank you for your comment.
Yes.
And
Keith, this makes me happy that you rented your clothes and never returned them. That's my favorite. And Brittany, I
again, right? You see Megan with the phony laugh. Oh, that's so funny. You're so irreverent. That's so hilarious. Like, right? I mean, come on. It's phony, all of it. She doesn't feel any of that. She doesn't think that's hilarious. She doesn't think any of this stuff. You know, like, I think, honestly, that Megan wants to get famous for hating on the Mormon church because she couldn't get famous for being the best Mormon ever, right? Like, she didn't marry a Mormon, so she wasn't accepted as Queen Mormon, right? She couldn't be the queen of Mormonism, so she has to be the queen of tearing it down. Megan looks like a server at a burger place, says a one-way street. And that's, you know, that is fair commentary, in my opinion. And it's not flattering. Like, and, you know, not everybody has to be an intellectual genius. Not everybody has to be, whatever, right? I mean, 50-year-old women should wear what they want, even if it suits them or it doesn't suit them or whatever. I am completely down with that. And I don't think that contradicts the fact that I think that was fair commentary about Megan, because Megan is pretending at these things. And the last iteration of Megan, she was pretending to be a life coach and as good as a therapist, right? And over here, she's pretending to be the expert on Mormonism that is going to help everybody deconstruct Mormonism and come out the other side, right? And so I think it's fair to comment on the things that are incongruent, as Dr. John told us that psychologists would say. Right? Her whole presentation is just an embarrassment to what she is pretending to be.
I have to put this because I love this. I rented my temple clothes the first time. I can't believe I exchanged money in the temple. Yes, I love
you
that.
Did. Yeah.
And
we
this
literally
is
changed money in the temple.
Again, this is what they have. They've got these gotchas that literally don't mean anything. And they've got fake shrieking laughter.
2 comments, and then we literally have to get going because it's already 10 minutes in.
By the way, Brittany, I like your picture.
Yes, it's very good. First, I can't imagine spending every single freaking day in the temple for 2 years. That would suck. 2, the cafeteria is very good. I think I mentioned this in the temple wedding ceremony when we did the one on my wedding, that the person who catered my wedding was the temple cafeteria chef. And that's how we got him. My mom knew him because she was a temple worker, and she was like, "You like those rolls? Yeah, I got you." And he catered my wedding. Oh my God. Well, what was even funnier is everyone was really excited to come to my reception when they found out. They're like, "Oh my God, the temple food is so good.
The rolls are going to be there." Did you have funeral potatoes at your wedding?
I don't.
Right? Like, this is not the Megan. Yeah, it's Thrilling Stories, Lucia, right? This is not the Megan of the midlife revolution, right? This new, quirky, funny, ha ha ha, Megan, but did you, blah, 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 hoo, hoo, hoo. No, I don't think she's funny at all. She's not funnier. Neither one of these women is funny. I think that Kirsten does the shrieking laughter thing. I think she comes by it honestly in terms of that being her a coping mechanism, how you laugh to get over uncomfortable situations or whatever. That's something that she's developed and how she's gotten by. With Megan, I don't think that Megan genuinely finds any of this funny. and she's putting it all on, and so it comes off as very, very phony. But yeah, I don't find either of them particularly funny. Kirsten is slightly more engaging than Kirsten, but I don't find her any more credible in terms of, like, she has nothing to offer, and she's grifting off the ex-Mormon community too. And we know from the interview that she did with Kirsten that she was very happy to go on there and tell lies about the Cox family so that she could get on YouTube. So, you know, she's already shown herself to be an opportunistic little lying scumbag. So I don't find her as charming as I initially did. Initially, I thought she was a lot more charming. But now that I know a little bit about her, the charm is just storefront. Behind that is just an empty vessel, another empty vessel.
Think so? I didn't really get to eat at my wedding. You know,
I didn't either.
I remember there were meatballs because I ate a lot of them. And the next day before we went on our honeymoon, we literally went to my parents' house and made like meatball subs and then went on our honeymoon.
So
it's taking a really long time to get to the part where they just absolutely destroy any attempt at trying to analyze hierarchy in the Mormon church.
we can tell wedding stories another time, but I knew that I was not going to get any. So I was married in the chapel because my husband was not Mormon. And then my reception was in my parents' backyard. And so, of course, all of the ward members made the food. And I knew I was not going to get any because we took pictures at the chapel after the ceremony. And by the time we got to the reception, I knew there would not be any. One of my former spouse's family members rented us a Rolls Royce.
Ex-husband. The other thing that I find irritating about Megan and Kirsten too in all of this is that they're very eager to, it's ex-Mormon snark, and they're very eager to put down the Mormon faith. But everything that they do is just kind of in opposition to that. And in a way, like it's not like they're even out of it. They're so busy being in opposition to it. And at the same time, the way that they talk about everything, they're like, we're bringing our expertise of our own personal experiences. So they want to be part of the Mormon community, right? Everything that they're talking about and saying is about being in the Mormon community. All of their relevance is about their stories of the Mormon community. So they are getting credit for membership in a community that they are shit talking and trashing all over the place at the same time and talking down to its members. So for me, that's another reason why it's so off-putting, is because they're still claiming a kind of a membership in this community that they're trashing.
Royce limousine. That was a vintage. And so we got in our Rolls Royce limousine in our wedding clothes, and we went through the drive-thru at McDonald's and got cheeseburgers and French fries before we went to the reception. Honestly, that was the best decision that I made around that whole wedding ceremony, etc. Everything else was terrible.
Well, I mean, you guys can go watch my temple video, my wedding video, at your leisure. But today we're talking about unspoken hierarchy, secret Mormon rules. And not secret. This is the thing. When we were talking about this topic, and we wanted to address it, is because, of course, I think everyone is very aware that Mormonism, I would go as far to say all Christianity, really, or any serious like evangelical or whatever Christianity, it looks like his nose is pointing. Anyways, they all kind of have, my watch started talking. They all have a very patriarchal system. Like, we're all very aware that the men run everything. You're allowed to teach or whatever as a woman, but as long as you get permission from the men, you know, it's all very patriarchal. But I think in Mormonism specifically, it becomes, oh, you're gone, Megan. Becomes this like, very much like, it's so patriarchal that women are literally lower than anyone else. You know, how we started talking about this is we were talking about word council. You know, if you've been LDS, you're aware that they do word council. It's supposed to be once a month, but I've seen some things recently from true believing members online that they have word council every single week. And the men
That
run
tracks.
it. And there are only like maybe 2 or 3 women in that entire thing. It's like the primary president and the Relief Society president. Oh, and Young Women's president, right? And that's it.
Right. Yeah. I really wanted to put together a graph.
Yeah, she really wanted to, but she didn't. Spit and Spooge Solve says, I'm an ex-Catholic. I don't hate myself for the experience. I don't need to drag everyone I know out of the church. I just don't get this perspective of theirs. Yeah, I would agree with that, right? And I think it's partly because there is no real perspective here, right? This is just a grift. They are immature and they don't really have anything to say except Mormon church bad. They don't have any real insight. I mean, Megan can occasionally read some facts off of a, website or something, and then reel them off again. But she doesn't have any particular insight beyond like, oh, that's not good. You shouldn't make women secondhand or second-class citizens. She doesn't offer you any of the reasons why you shouldn't do that, why it's harmful to girls and women, what are the outcomes, what does it do to women, girls in terms of their mental health, what does it do to the community at large, like nothing at all. Just the most basic, like, well, that's not right, that like literally a 5-year-old could point that out, right? That's not fair. That's the level of analysis you get with these two.
Graphic for everybody so you could visually see it, because I'm a visual person, but I did not have time.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
But we should talk about, I mean, the thing is that if you are born into the church, of course, you have a certain echelon, right? If you're from pioneer stock, you get more clout or whatever. If you've been a bishop, stake president, whatever. So what we want to talk about tonight is those unspoken levels of like greater respect that people receive and greater credence that they receive. And that's why if you pay attention to Mormon Stories podcast and you listen to those episodes where they were like, I lost my faith as a bishop, I lost my faith as a stake president, I lost my faith as a mission president, we want to explain to you why that's such a big deal.
Yes.
Because I think especially never-mos who've never experienced this church culture don't really understand. And the thing that is hard about it for me is that when you're just going to a regular church service, there are all these unspoken rules that you don't really know about.
Yeah.
And if you don't like follow them, you get side-eye at the very least.
Yeah.
And you get sort of shunned, or you get sort of like marginalized or put into this category that you don't belong. And that's the worst thing in Mormonism, is to not belong.
It always reminds me of like Southern women gossip. You know, it's like you're not really gossiping. You're just like, oh, did you see Sister Megan this week? She came to church without a husband. And, I really wanted to share that with you because I feel like we should pray. Like if you're going to the temple this week, please put her name on the prayer roll. Oh, did you see Sister Kirsten? She wore pants.
So, I mean, it's not like there's not a point there. High demand religions, I think, can be very judgy like that, right? The expectation is that everybody's going to follow these same rules. And I think that there's some kind of, if you're one of the people that is following all the rules, it can feel very annoying when other people are getting away with not following the rules, right? And I think that that's one of the reasons why these high demand religions can be problematic, because they set up these kind of very difficult standards to live up to, super exacting and generally not conducive to really good mental health. And then people that are following all those rules it makes sense to me that they might feel resentful and annoyed about other people not doing it, and that it would bring out the worst in them instead of bringing out the best in them. And I think that that's a good point, right? But the thing is that these two are not going to mention any of that. They're just going to trash talk these people as though they're shallow gossips, rather than that they are people who are reacting to a set of circumstances that are kind of, you know, it's like they live in the fishbowl and everything is the fishbowl. And they're trying to deal with that in ways that end up not being necessarily healthy, because the rules are not necessarily healthy in the first place, right? But these guys aren't going to mention that and kind of give these people any slack. They're going to talk about them like they're silly gossips who are just mean. And I think that there's more context, right? And they don't offer you any context, anything, any conversation, any way in to think about it differently at all, right? It's all just surface bullshit.
Church. So I'm just telling you, because like don't tell anyone else, but like obviously she's struggling with the priesthood.
And these are the thing that's so annoying about that is I feel like it's total projection from these two, because this is exactly the kind of shit that they actually do, right? That toxic fucking talking about people in ways like I think a lot of people just don't understand about stalking and how serious and dangerous it is, right? That's how they are.
And not being in her home. Like that's how they talk, you know?
It really is. And it's like, if you are doing something outside the norm, you're struggling with something,
Yes.
and everybody's going to pray for you because obviously you are less than. I cannot tell you, Kirsten, how many times I got talked about in ward council because I was coming to church without a husband and my kids were loud. I'm like, I have 6 children.
Well, I mean, if you're coming to church without a husband because you married outside the faith, in a religion where marrying within the faith is everything, I mean, it's not that surprising that people might talk about you, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't personally think there's anything wrong with marrying outside of the church, but I also don't believe in the faith the way that Mormons do. And they believe, like, they have very specific beliefs, right, about being joined for eternity with your husband. And so if you marry outside the church, that means something, right? This is very specific. It's not like necessarily, you know, I mean, even with Catholicism, it's difficult because Catholics are very big on, you know, if you don't repent and all the rest of it, you won't be saved. And it's serious to them because they really believe that, right? And so she's kind of, I feel like she's just discounting, again, the fact that people believe these things. This is the faith. And so if you're not staying within that, then that will mean something, right? It will mean something in the long term about your own immortal soul, right? This is the point that she misses. I mean, she misses so much, but to completely go against the norms of the church and then be like, well, then they were like, they didn't like it when I completely went against the norms of the church. How dare they? It's like, well, go join a different church that doesn't have those norms then. If those norms don't matter to you, don't stay in the church that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky. It's hard to tell sometimes because I do find Megan so objectionable. But I feel like if you join a, you know, like a soccer club and you don't want to follow the rules, people are going to go, that person isn't following the rules, right? Like I don't think that's something to be so pointing the finger at Mormons like they're so terrible for noticing that she wasn't acting in the way that she would act if she truly believed all of the tenets of the faith.
They're going to make some noise. I always sat on the front row, but like on the opposite side of the sacrament table so that I was close to the door. so that I could get up and leave when my children were being
naughty.
rambunctious.
Yes.
By the way, I've had these things sitting here forever, and it's clear that their intended purpose is probably not going to be served anytime soon. So I'm just going to start using my sacrament cups.
Oh, where did you get sacrament cups?
Right? Like, I thought you left this faith. Why are you so obsessed with every aspect of it and being in your face about every aspect of it? Like, again, look at her. Like, I'm so irreverent. It's like, you're 51 years old. Fucking grow up. Like, I'm embarrassed for them at this. And Kirsten, oh my God, you've got sacrament cups. Like, so what? Are we? We're not collecting Pokemon cards, girls.
You know what? We could have like tiny baby Jello shots in sacrament cups.
Well, the original intended purpose, there's a podcast called A Mormon and an ex-Mormon and an ex-Mo and a never-Mo walk into a bar. Mm-hmm. The entire premise was that I was to obtain these cups, and then we were to play a game of some sort while we were on the podcast together. And I've had them in my desk drawer for almost a year now, but they've never been used. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to start just using them. Anyway, the reason
we are literally 20 minutes into their live podcast about the secret Mormon hierarchy they never admit exists, and we haven't made it to the subject yet, but we've spent a lot of time irreverently laughing at in-your-face jokes about the Mormon church, right? Yeah, blasphemy is not humor. Like, I mean, blasphemy is whatever, it's fine. I mean, it doesn't I'm not offended by them being in your face to the Mormon church, because when you forbid people doing that, that's exactly what they want to do, and it makes sense. But it's just that they are supposed to be offering us some kind of deconstruction of Mormonism here, and all they have is Beavis and Butthead adolescent humor so far. I mean,
the reason I brought these out, though, is because there is a hierarchy around the sacrament, and let's talk about that first.
Yes, absolutely.
So, if you go to a regular Mormon Sunday meeting, the main meeting is called sacrament meeting because you take the sacrament, which is the bread and water, right? Mormons want you to believe that the entirety of the Sunday service revolves around that one ordinance. That's not really the case. But they want you to believe that that's the case because that should be what it really is. But this is where you can observe the Mormon hierarchy happening in real time, because after the men who are 16 and older bless the bread and the water.
I don't know about you guys, but I really appreciate that pointing in your face thing. I think that's really great. Hey, HMS Gen X lady, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I really like that when she does the pointing in your face thing. Very engaging.
They serve it to the bishop first. So the bishop is like the equivalent of a pastor in another ward, or in another faith. He is the leader of the congregation. He is the one who decides whether or not you get a temple recommend. He's the first interview level.
Yep.
He's the one who decides whether or not a child is worthy to be baptized. He's the one who has the final say on who gets what assignment within the ward. And so symbolically, the young men will bring the bread or the water to the bishop first. And only after he has taken the sacrament can everybody else receive it.
No. Well, they even would do bishop and then first counselor, second counselor. and then everybody else could receive it.
And
they would stand there in like little lines. They're on either side, and they would wait, and then they would like march down the aisle. I love how I'm doing it this.
Again, I love how they have no plan for who's going to talk about what, and they just talk over and interrupt each other back and forth constantly. It's great. Great content.
Wait, they're coming towards me,
They're-
just like in church.
and there are exits here. But also, yes,
Tim has a good
if there's
point.
a high councilman or a stake president or any other authority that's higher than the bishop, they get it first. So the highest authority in the priesthood gets it first. So should we talk, Kirsten, about the hierarchy of the priesthood authority?
Yeah, so they don't have a plan for what they're going to talk about.
Authorities from the prophet down.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It seems like it's a lot of people, but it's actually pretty short. Are you just taking shots of sacrament Dr. Pepper?
Yes, I am. I'm going to take a shot.
I have a 0 sugar coconut.
I mean, we did talk about the hierarchy in Mormonism of who gets to take the sacrament when for 4 seconds. So it's good time to take a break and talk about other stupid nonsensical nonsense, I think, don't you?
Dr. Pepper in here.
Very nice. I love
with
it.
coconut rum and blackberry liqueur. And
That sounds
so good.
fabulous. That sounds fabulous.
That's
In my
Eric.
family home evening treat.
That's what I mean, right? Kirsten does that laughing. She does it all the time with everything. So I think she's better at it than Megan. But I also don't think that, like, there's nothing funny there. That wasn't really funny. Does she really think that's funny? Or is it just she's just on automatic pilot? You know, living in reaction to the world. There's no conscious awareness of who she is at all.
In case anybody
should-
was wondering.
you know what? I should have poured my 0 sugar Dr. Pepper and cream soda into my FHE cup that you made for me. And I didn't have time to like get my brain together.
That's
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
It's good
Mine,
stuff.
I always
You know, I mean, the thing about watching these guys is that afterwards you go away from it and then you continue to think over several days about the discussion that they had. And it opens up all these new kinds of thoughts for you and stuff, right? They're just so interesting.
have sitting on the counter just so it's ready to go. I'm serious. I just set it right there next to my bar. So
Are you serious?
I did use my WTF mug this morning for my coffee though. So,
Oh, wow.
That
Great.
yeah, there you go.
That's
It does count.
so interesting.
all right. So we all know, or
Well, you guys, this morning I used my 1 teacup for my morning tea, and then later when I had a cup of tea later, I used a different cup. Do you guys want to see the cups that I used for my different cups of tea that I had today? Because also my tea got kind of cold this morning because I got distracted by the dog, and then when I went back to drink it, it wasn't very warm, and so I didn't enjoy it very much. Great content. Like, what are you even talking about, you people?
at least most of us know, that the prophet is at the top of the church. By the way, though,
An infographic would have been handy.
official title of Dallin H. Oaks is not, well, he's known as a prophet.
Kresha, I love it. I love it. It takes a village to take these people down, even just in all these little things. Kresha says she said that just to brag about her consumption of the forbidden coffee. She's so extra, and I think you're totally right. It's another in your face. I drink coffee. I drink booze. Ooh, I'm drinking booze out of the sacrament cups, or like, I mean, she's not right now, but all of it, just all of it.
Seer and Revelator, right?
They have their weekly drink, right? So that they can be in your face. We're drinking alcohol on the Ex-Mormon Snark channel. You're exactly right.
But there are lots of people who are known as that.
Yeah.
He is the only one who is known as the president of the corporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes,
So
correct.
he's not just a prophet, seer, and revelator. He is also the CEO of Mormon Inc., as it were.
Yes.
Then
Is she going to give us any insight into what that means, or why that's important, or how that plays out? Or is she just going to insinuate shit and assume that we're all going to catch on to what she's saying?
so he's the president. He has 2 counselors. That's the first presidency. They are technically the 3 leaders of the church. And then there are 12 apostles, just like in Jesus's day that there were 12
I was literally
apostles.
about to say that. I'm like, just like
Yeah.
Jesus. So it's pretty,
Except
Right? That's just their commentary. 12 apostles, just like Jesus. So what does that mean? Why is that significant? How is that relevant to the Mormon faith and the connection to Christianity? Nope.
it's pretty exciting.
these men's did not leave their fishnets to follow Jesus. They kept their businesses, their corporations. Some of them kept their consulting jobs, and they also got $1 million bonus when they were raised up to be
Correct.
apostles.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that is the leadership of the church. When we say the Q15, the quorum of the 12 apostles plus,
And that is the snark of the Megan. That's it. You witnessed it right there.
the 3 president, the president and his 2 counselors. When we say the
Yep.
Q15, that's who we're talking about. The 15 men who lead and guide and direct the church and make all the policies and give all the revelations, of which there have been none since 1978 when God changed
Correct.
his mind about Black people.
So I feel like this hierarchy that they talk about, like there's a bit of a hierarchy in the, there's the president and then there's his 2 people that are below him and then his 12 apostles or whatever. It's like, but there's not like a ton of power beyond that, right? It's kind of a very limited hierarchy, and it's very, it's like a small group that have that power, no? Like, I get that men have power over their families or whatever, but like, it's not like there's a big hierarchy of the church, right? It's actually quite a small hierarchy in the leadership.
Well,
Yes.
So those are the 15. And then right under that is the quorum of the 70, which seems kind of confusing, but
Because
was originally, it is confusing. It was originally 70 dudes. I don't know, I should say.
Now it's
I
just
do know-
old mission.
Do you see what I mean about how they did absolutely zero preparation for this, right? They thought they could just come in and do it off the cuff without planning anything at all, without even like bothering to just listen to a podcast or something that could kind of refresh things in their memory, right? They did zero preparation.
From presidents and anybody they like a lot.
Right.
Like, that's all it is.
I do know how we arrived at that number, and I do know how the quorum was formed, but it's so freaking boring to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just say that
nobody
those
cares.
are underneath that body of leadership are the area presidency, and that makes sense to me, where they would have people who are over certain regions of the world. So, for example, there's a North America area presidency, a South America area presidency, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it comes real down to the local level, where it's the stake president and his 2 counselors and the high council.
Okay, I just want to say, Are You Sunny Now says she is making so much up about a CEO and bonus. These men better called to be apostles leave their success to serve the Lord. So they have to leave their jobs? Is that what you're saying? Or they have to choose? I genuinely have no knowledge about this.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate anybody sharing information.
you can sort of think of these as a mini Q15. There's the stake president and his 2 counselors, and then there's a high council, which exists of 10 to 12 men, basically. And the high counselors are basically stake presidents in training, and they go around to the different wards and they're given assignments to speak about different things and whatever.
And they always just like, whenever a high councilman is there and they're asked to speak, I swear to God, they don't prep anything. They just stand up there and riff for like 45 minutes.
So
Well, I mean, I guess like us, but they're not entertaining. Well, maybe some people don't find us entertaining, but I'm just saying.
clearly here.
Holy shit. Kirsten just had a little moment of self-awareness there. Holy man. Expert of all wants to be a stake president. Yeah. Same. With baked potato.
Kirsten, there are many people who don't find us entertaining. Have you seen our comment section?
This is it, right? Are you sunny now, right? She says, are you sunny? I'm saying she, I don't know if you're she, sorry. Are you sunny now says, it is very well organized. That is why when there are disasters, the LDS Church is able to meet the needs of not just members, but all of those who are affected by the disaster. So yeah, I think that's a really great point. And it's one of the things that they don't do at all either, right? They don't say, what are the good sides of this? Why is this good versus why, what's bad about it or whatever. And I think that's very true. And as I understand it, the Mormon Church is actually quite well known for helping communities through disasters and being well prepared to do that. So I think it's really important that they don't ever show both sides, right? They're just here to show you how smart they are because they found out that Mormonism has some internal inconsistencies.
Oh, seriously. Not funny.
I'm going to do this while I say that I went on at least 2 dates with a former high councilman.
So?
Yes, take a shot for that.
Again, right? Are you 15? Are you 20? What is your point with that? Is that meant to be do people find that funny? Or oh, Megan, you're so irreverent? What?
Because
he confirmed to me that the high councilmen were counseled to have at least 3 or 4 talks just ready to go in case you had a speaking assignment.
But see,
so so what? You see the way she's looking at the cameras? What? What? It's such terrible advice to have things planned. If you're expected to speak publicly to your flock on a regular basis, it's weird and twisted advice that you should be prepared at a moment's notice to speak on a few different subjects. How is Megan smarter than the rest of the world by thinking this is a bad idea? I can't understand that at all.
They didn't. They just had a topic and they would just riff. And
okay,
the Spirit has directed me to talk about, and you're like, no, they didn't. You're just
right
dumb.
But I will attest that when I was a ward missionary, they encouraged each of us to have a talk ready for baptism and a talk ready for the Holy Ghost. And because we live in an area where there are a lot of Spanish speaking people, they encouraged us to memorize our testimony in Spanish, just in case.
Are you for real?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
again, that's not really surprising in a proselytizing community that has a lot of Spanish speaking members. It's not surprising. None of this is surprising, but it's meant to show us that Megan, I don't know what, this is what I'm saying. Their whole thing is we're experts on this because we were Mormons. And that's all that they have to offer is that. But there's no, what's your critique of that? Why is that? How is that a problem? Why is that weird? Why is it notable? Why are you mentioning it? Is it just because it just popped into your head? What has it got to do with anything? How does this fit into the larger conversation?
I think there is a Book of Mormon that might still exist if I didn't burn it, that has
again, right? Thank you, Krisha, for saying earlier, she's so extra, right? It's she's living in opposition to the Mormon Church, which means to me, how she talks about before she left the Mormon Church and deconstructed everything, and it took her a while, but now she's all healed up from her experience as a Mormon. She is so clearly not healed up from any of it that all she can do is speak in opposition to Mormonism in every extra way possible.
I wrote it on a sticker that was about this size, and I stuck it in the front of a Book of Mormon, the Spanish version of my testimony when I was a Mormon.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, you see what I mean? So I think that there was a point when Megan was like, I am going to be the best Mormon, and then I will be the Queen Mormon, and then I will have all the power of the Queen Mormon. And then when that didn't work out, she went, fine, fuck you, I quit.
you were a very good Mormon in that way. I think by the time I was getting older, I was like, nah, screw this stuff.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Right? Megan was trying to win the prize, right? She was trying to be the head Mormon.
All right, so we've got the High Council, then we have
That's
Bishop
okay.
is
So
under that.
so just to
Yeah, Lucia says their lack of thoroughness speaks to their laziness for not preparing enough here. Yeah, they don't prepare for anything. And it's to me, it's like, if I was one of their viewers, I would feel insulted by that. Like, I mean, you expect me to give you my time and my energy to watch this and give you clicks and give you views, and you're going to get ad revenue, and I'm going to spend my time and my money and my precious whatever here, and you can't even be bothered to do the slightest bit of research so that you're able to give an engaging talk on a subject that is of importance to people who are trying to deconstruct the religion and decide whether they want to be in it or out it or whatever. Like, it's beyond embarrassing and cringe. It's insulting, right? It's so clearly just about buy our merch.
to be illustrative about the area leadership or the regional leadership, I'm going to use San Antonio as an example because it's where I live. I used to belong to the San Antonio North Stake, which meant that, like, San Antonio has 2 little circles, and the outer circle, the northern part of the outer circle, was the North Stake. And then there were 2 other stakes. I think there was the West Stake, the East Stake. It might have been the South Stake. I don't know. Anyway, that was the area, right? So there was a stake president and his 2 counselors, so those 3 dudes, plus the 10 or 12 high counselors that were over the north part of San Antonio. The north part of San Antonio had 10 different congregations in it. And so the stake president was over those 10 congregations.
So, see, this is where a visual aid would be useful, but Megan didn't bother. She thought about doing it, but she didn't.
Then we can go to the congregation level. So do you want to explain, Kirsten?
Yes. So each of those 10 congregations has the bishop, which, as Megan said, would be like the pastor, the priest in charge.
Right.
And, like we said, I believe it was just this last Monday on FHE, the Father of our Lord. Yeah. They have this whole song about the bishop being the father of the ward because he's in charge of everything. The bishop then has 2 counselors, first counselor and a second counselor, right? And so, and it's literally like the bishop is the top dog. The first counselor is the guy that's the bishop in training, usually,
yeah.
A lot of times. And then the second counselor is a good buddy of theirs. Like, that's how it always is, right? It always is. It's like golfing buddies make up the bishop, right?
So,
and then you have the executive secretary.
Yes.
Who is like the guy that they're like, man, he can do the work. It's usually, I felt like someone a little bit more analytical and like,
yes, like,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, because he was in charge of setting appointments for the bishop, and you would get a call or a text from the ward executive secretary that would say, like, the bishop wants to meet with you.
Yes.
He has these 2 time slots available. When can you? And it was always like, either I'm going to get asked to speak in sacrament meeting, or I'm going to get a new calling, or I'm going to get released from my calling, or I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Or someone in ward council talked about me, which is where we are going, guys.
Yes, that's where we're going next. Yes.
So then we have, you have like the high priest group leader. The high priest group leader is the men who have the Melchizedek priesthood, and they're more in charge. My father held all those callings, and he was high priest group leader often, if I recall. I know he wasn't more than once.
Forgive me correct me if I'm wrong, Kirsten, but high priest group leader is like the captain of the football team. He's like the
Yes.
most popular person in the ward who's not the bishop. And he's kind of a little more loosey-goosey because he doesn't have that
Yes.
weight of bishopric calling on him. But he's the one who always organizes, like, if you need help moving and shit. Like, that was his
I
job.
also feel like sometimes.
Hi, Laura Faganello. Nice to see you. Laura says there's a lot to criticize the church for, but I don't think they need to spend this much time criticizing the volunteers, right? That's what I was kind of saying earlier, that like they don't seem to have differentiated between the church and the Mormon people, the individual Mormons. And the way that they talk about all of this is very condescending about actual Mormons rather than being critical of the church, which is, if you're going to help people to deconstruct their religion, I think that's a pretty basic, difference that you need to, acknowledge right up front. And also, you need to acknowledge the good things that have been accomplished, and that what the intent of certain things might have been, even if it didn't work out that way. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't seem to have, there's so much in opposition to the church that they don't have any room to really critique it in any meaningful way for anybody else, right? It's embarrassing because of the fact that Megan claims to be able to be a life coach who can help people deconstruct Mormonism and help people make the right decisions about self-love that will help them to have thriving and successful lives, right? And meanwhile, she's over here acting literally like Beavis.
The high priest group,
like Beavis and Butthead.
Leader, at least in the wards I had been in, was like, though he was usually like, he used to be a bishop or a stake president or a high councilman or something like that, but he just currently didn't have the calling. Because there were times that my dad was like the high priest group leader, and he actually gave the Melchizedek priesthood to the upcoming counselors, like stuff like that,
Right? Kathy Shields says it's like they want to make me feel like I hate Mormons, and I refuse to do that. Exactly, right? I mean, you're talking about people, right? Mormons are people, just like other, just like Christians and non-Christians and Buddhists and everybody else, right? And I mean, if you want to critique their religion, by all means do so. And most religions have a lot that can be critiqued, but this adolescent finger-pointing nonsense is just embarrassing. And I just don't feel like they're offering anything of value. If I was somebody that was questioning my faith and I came across this, it would be more likely to push me back into my faith than to get me out of it, right? I mean, my God.
So it was like, I don't know. That's how I felt. But you're right. It's kind of the captain of the football team. He got to do more of the like, not the interviews, but everything else. Yeah. And so you have the high priest group, which is all of the men that have the Melchizedek priesthood.
Okay, so the secret Mormon hierarchy they never admit exists is the title of the video. And they're literally, all they're doing is describing the makeup of it. And I haven't heard them give any meaningful criticism of hierarchy, of patriarchy, of Mormonism, of anything.
Which is the higher priesthood. Then you have the elders quorum, which is the men's group of all the men that have the Aaronic priesthood, which is the lower priesthood.
By the way, Kirsten, there were many.
But like, why talk about it like that? You just sound like an idiot. You're not even like, what is the point of any of this? What is the point of this? It is just so empty and vapid, these two. Oh, God.
Words on the SAT that I was able to get correct because I was a Mormon. And one of those was quorum.
Oh, look at you.
Yes.
I don't remember my SAT at all because, fun fact, I was sick. I came home in 104 fever. It's okay. I got an almost perfect score. Ha ha. So it was.
Okay, so I have a question. If Kirsten is so brilliant that she can get an almost perfect score on the SATs while she has a fever of 104, why is she acting like a complete fucking idiot on the internet? Serious question.
It's fine.
Maybe she just never lived up to that aptitude, I guess.
So
but I don't
quorum,
remember it.
quorum just means a group. Just that's all. Means a group. So like the elders quorum is just a group of elders. You know,
Yep.
that's all.
That's all. But
Yeah.
it's just showing, like, the reason I put on the thumbnail the pyramid that had the bishop, the priesthood holders, the men,
Yes.
good men, bad men. And by bad men, I meant like even.
See, now that is snark, Lucia. Lucia says high fevers can cause brain damage, Penny. You are true and right. Very funny.
And the guys who are known to have been not great people.
Right.
All of those people come above women. And that's where I wanted to go with that. In the church, you get the priesthood at, I was going to say 12, but now.
All of those people come above women like that. That's what all that carry on was about, to get to the point that women don't have leadership roles in the Church of the Latter-day Saints. I think we could have had a little diagram and a little thing underneath that said women don't get to fill leadership roles in the LDS Church, and we could have moved on.
Now it's 11.
Now it's 11.
12,
to why that's problematic.
right?
Yeah, if you're 11
Yeah.
and you're turning 12 in the calendar year, you can get the priesthood. Yeah.
So, yeah, all of these.
So yeah,
Just because they are born male, they're allowed to get the priesthood. And the priesthood is the.
this is the depth of the analysis we have here. Literally, I'm not even joking here. Literally, this is the analysis. I could get this analysis from the elementary school children on my bus. That's not fair. So just because they're born boys, they get to do all that stuff and the girls don't? That's not fair. And those children are literally, they're not, these are pre-adolescents. Could give me this exact analysis that Megan has just given us here. Or not Megan, Kirsten.
The power of God. Oh, nice.
I like that. Actually, that's really funny.
I have to share this story because it's very interesting. When I was a participant at EFY, especially for youth, I later became a counselor, but this is when I was a participant. I got up and bore my testimony that I was so grateful to be able to be around all of the young men, because I knew that they held the power of God, which was the same power that the prophet himself held. And I was amazed at them. And I hate that, because think of the internalized, like, patriarchy, misogyny, whatever you want to call it, that I had, that I thought that these little, I'm trying to think of a nicer word.
Patriarchal
Let's just say children. Well, I was going to say dickwads, but.
Right, this is how they're talking about children. Boys who've been given the priesthood. They're talking about Mormon children. Like this, right? Like, this is not a way to talk about this. Megan just called 11, 12-year-old boys patriarchal pricks. And look at the look on her face. Like, okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Amy McFly and what she said on the little thing of hers that I watched, right? So she was talking about, she wrote this this article called Dear Mormon Man, where she flips the script and she asks them, what would you do if you were born in this situation where you were raised in a matriarchy and you had no power and could never be a leader, and you were in my position, what would you do? And it got a lot of traction, and she got a lot of response to it, and she's very intelligent, and she's doing a master's in I can't remember But anyway, interesting, engaging, right? So one day she has her calling taken away from her for no good reason. And she goes home and she's extremely mad about it. Like, she's mad about it to the point that she cannot cope. And she's having to figure out, like, why am I not managing this? Why am I not able to take this in my stride? Why am I fucking freaking out about this? And so she had to go back and look at what was the whole situation. And she had to understand that she had given her whole life and all of her belief to this religion and this faith that was clearly shutting her out of any kind of input, even into decision making. And she this is what it was. Oh no, this is what it was. There was a study. This is why she was so mad. Okay. There was a lot of kids in her ward or in their area where they lived. There had been a huge rash of teen suicides. And there had been studies done that were showing that teens really need a lot of extra sleep. And at particular hours, like they need to sleep in the morning, and that helps them to, and whatever, everything that's going on when you're a teenager with your body and your brain and your development and everything coming all together, you need a lot of sleep, and you need it at a certain time. And they had set these scriptural meetings at 6 a.m. for all these kids. And the moms had written up a big thing and gone to the church and said, please, can we change this? Because this is why. And these kids it's dangerous for their health, and we're their moms, and that's our job, and that's our role. And they were completely shut out and lectured about how they need to shut up and just listen to the leadership, right? And so she did this whole, she started a whole thing. She started a whole thing because of that. And she realized, dissent is not only fruitless, but that they were punished. And so she wrote this article, and then she made an animated video, and she started this channel. And she has talked about the changes, she's placed it all in a larger context. She's talked about the changes that the church is making, and the good and the bad of those things, and how to feel about that. Like, they were talking about the change in the garments that you have to wear, temple garments, and how they, or is it a temple garments, but whatever, the ones with the cap sleeves, and they changed them to spaghetti straps so women are more comfortable. And they think that that's good because at least women are more comfortable, and they deserve to be more comfortable. But at the same time, they're still being kind of dominated by the men, right? Men are telling them what they can and can't wear. And the fact that men are being reasonable about it doesn't change the fact, right? And they're actually having these conversations that delve into all of this and take it seriously, and take the women that are, in the faithful Mormon women, and their needs seriously. They don't talk down to them. They don't laugh at them. They don't feel the need to be snarky about them, whatever. And it is such a refreshing difference to this, with their background, with their pink and purple in your face brightness, is kind of an indication of how surface all of this is, how cotton candy it is, right? Versus someone who is actually trying to make a difference out in the community. And doing a good job of it, and having some ideas, and having something to offer, and bringing something to the table, right? And this other woman, Meg Conley, who was being interviewed, I listened to a podcast, and she's talking about, she was talking about patriarchy and hierarchy in the community, but she's also talking about how power structures inform kind of most of everything that goes on in the United States. It's not just in the Mormon Church. And that how men that exist in male only cultures are trying to solve a problem. They were talking specifically about domestic violence, and that they're putting the onus on these guys to solve this problem in a male only environment where they're not getting any input from women. And in fact, they're not even trying to solve the same problem, right? That the problem that the Mormon elders are trying to solve, the men, is how to keep the family together, right? And the problem that actually needs to be solved is how to protect Mormon girls and women in their homes, right, from domestic violence. And these are actually the conversations that need to be had, right? These are the things that are available out there, and it's not, it will take you 2 seconds to find these people and to find, literally, like, I Googled one thing this morning and found 3 videos and 5 articles, and it was all right there, right? So to me, that just highlights how empty all of this is, that these two have not even bothered to look at their competition, to look at who is doing what, to acknowledge that there are people out there that are doing this way better than these two could ever even dream of doing it. And if they really wanted to do it, they could find out ways to get involved, right? This on the interview where I was talking about that Meg Connolly woman, there was another woman there that was talking about they formed an organization where, I can't remember what it was called now, but they organized all these women to go to the big priesthood meeting where they were all going to get all their, I don't know what they get there, but whatever scriptures and whatever they do at the priesthood meeting. And they organized this whole group of women that stood in line in front of the venue, and they went up and asked permission to enter. And one at a time they did this, and one at a time they were turned away. And they didn't leave, and they stayed out there, and they continued this kind of fight to get women into the priesthood. And the woman that was organizing the whole thing ended up being excommunicated. And she was talking about that, and she was, you could hear the pain in her voice as she was talking about it, because she loves the church and she loved the faith, and she thought that she was doing something to improve the faith, improve the church. And instead she was excommunicated, and she believes that by being excommunicated, her eternal soul is now in danger, right? Now, I don't believe that, but she very much does. And yet she was willing to take those kind of risks and try to make those kind of concrete changes by putting herself out there. And all of those women, like, you could hear, they recorded them going up to the door and asking to be let in, and you could hear their voices breaking. They were terrified, right? And they were standing up in the face of the patriarchy, and it was extremely inspiring, right? And then there's these two. The contrast is just shocking for people who, thoughtful, intelligent, interesting, educated people who are out there. And you don't even necessarily have to be doing a master's degree to educate yourself about the topic before you start talking about it, right? Rather than just assuming that you can just riff.
Yours is even nicer than mine.
That's a phrase that I learned from Natasha Helfer, and I use it as often as I can.
Right? Like, I mean, when you think about everything I was just talking about, and then you come back to these two and their hilarity and their hot pink outfits, it just feels like an insult to these people who are genuinely struggling and trying to find a way to live in harmony with their faith, and not like, it's not just like, oh, well, we're going to go over and have this faith instead, right? The nature of it is that this is a deeply held beliefs for people. And these guys are yucking it up over the pain of what that is like for people to have to be in conflict with their faith, or to be excommunicated from it even.
So
just,
yeah.
I hate that I got up and I said that, and all of them were like hugging me and crying after. And I was like, it's just, you're such a good example. Blah, blah. And I hate that, but that really is how it is. 12-year-old boys are more important and hold more power than their single mother would in their home. The bishop would look to that child, I feel like, more than the mom. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not only that, but I've said this many times before, and I will continue to spout it from the mountaintops as
It's shout it from the mountaintops, but I think it's extremely apt that Megan misspoke and said spout it from the mountaintops, because these two are just spouting absolute BS.
as it were. The highest ranking woman in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the General Relief Society president. She is the one who is over the entire women's organization for the entire world.
Right? That's who Megan wanted to be. And since she didn't get to be that, now she's a pissy adolescent taking pot shots at innocent Mormons.
They claim that they are among the largest women organization in the entire world because by default, when you turn 18, you become a member of the LDS Relief Society. So they're going to claim every single woman who's on the records of the church from the age of 18 to the age of 110.
Mm-hmm.
The woman who is in charge of that organization is the highest ranking woman in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And
You already said that.
she is outranked by her 12-year-old grandson because her 12-year-old grandson has the priesthood and she does not. And every decision that she makes for her global organization has to be approved by the quorum of the 12 apostles and the 3 men at the head of the church. So the Q50.
Even though that's true and it's probably not ideal, when you talk about it that way, you are demeaning that woman. You are not, you're not supporting her or championing her. You are demeaning her as someone who's too dumb to even realize that they have no authority at all.
15.
Yep.
So she is not even allowed to institute a policy where, say, for example, she says, hey, listen, once a month when we hold Relief Society testimony meeting or open mic Sunday, there are a lot of women who cry. And we would like to have a box of Kleenex at the pulpit in every Relief Society room in the church. If she wants that, she has to get it approved by the Q15. She can't.
Right? It's the tone of voice that's so snitty and condescending, right? I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's not appropriate to talk about it this way on the internet. If you want to talk like that amongst yourself and your friends, it's one thing. But if you're here claiming that you're going to help people to deconstruct Mormonism, it is not cool to talk like this, right? I just feel like it's not cool to talk like this.
You can't just institute that policy and create a fiscal change like that in the church organization without having it signed off by a man. So her 12-year-old grandson has more authority in the church than she does because she doesn't hold the priesthood.
So what authority does he have? Re the Kleenex, though, Megan? Honestly, like, what is your point? Laura Faganello says, Mormonism didn't work for me, so I left. I don't want it to change to match my beliefs because it's the perfect church for many people. I don't agree with it, but they don't need my approval. Right? I mean, here we have a perfectly mature and reasonable response. If you don't like it, you can leave. I mean, and, you know, if you don't like it and you want to change it, and you want to stay and try to work within it to change it, that's cool too. And these two clearly didn't like it and they wanted to leave, and that's also fine. But this, I don't feel like this is fine. I feel like this is, I don't know. It's just exploitative, I think. I just feel like, it's Megan trying to get something for nothing again, right? I think it's like, it reminds me of the way she wanted something for nothing with the Lori Daybell case, right? She pretended to some expertise that she didn't have so that she could get people to like her and click on her and think that she was something special. And she's doing the same thing here. Just because you were a Mormon, that doesn't make you an expert on Mormonism. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It may make you an expert on your own experience of Mormonism. I would not argue with that. but it doesn't make you an expert on Mormonism, and it doesn't give you the the ability or the credentials to help other people deconstruct Mormonism for themselves. Like, she just is not, there is no expertise here. She touches on the surface of things and then tries to pretend like she's an expert. I feel like from the things that I read today, I could give you a better, if I sat down to give you a presentation about patriarchy and hierarchy in the Mormon church, I could do a better job of it than Megan, who was a Mormon for 40 years. Because I bothered to learn something about hierarchy, about patriarchy, about how those things developed, about why they exist in the kind of society that we, these industrial society, like, right? And it took me a couple of hours to learn that stuff. So it's the same. It's that something for nothing, praise me for, she hasn't earned it. She hasn't earned anything. And Kirsten, I don't feel Kirsten.
Period. The end. She can't
Correct.
pass the sacrament. She can't pray over the sacrament. She can't baptize anybody. She can't bless anybody unless she's in the temple, but only in the women's changing room.
That is correct. And I also wanted to point out that, we could go down this forever. There are people that just have a higher rank, even though it's not necessarily a higher rank. If the patriarch is in your ward, the patriarch is the Mormon fortune teller. The patriarch was, in fact, in my ward.
Yes.
He is held with a very incredibly high esteem. Even though he's not giving talks, he's not given the sacrament first, people will still rely on him the way they would rely on an oracle. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, he is like the shaman of the ward, even though he technically doesn't have that calling, or I guess that
he doesn't have
status
the
of
power,
being asked to talk or sitting. Right. Also, the temple president. I was in a ward with the temple president a couple times. So it's like, yes, Brittany, yes. Patriarch was in my ward as well. And everything he said was amazing. And now I look back and he was definitely probably right there. But this is also, I've told this story before. His wife was also looked upon she was very special. Megan, we lost your camera again in case you didn't know.
I know. I'm plugging it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm changing the plug again.
You're okay. She was looked on really highly too. She would come in and talk to us as young women about being the wife of the patriarch. And I remember this so well. She said on the day that she knew someone was coming to get a patriarchal blessing, she would work really hard to keep peace in the home. If she felt like an argument was coming, she would diffuse it. Yes, that face, Megan. She would make sure to keep the house really clean. I remember every time.
Again, they're talking about this one person to talk shit about her. How is that deconstructing Mormonism? Maury says it's a juvenile critique. I don't like authority oppressing me, so here's how it's dumb. Yes, all organized religions do this. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, right? In terms of what? Yes, this is how privilege and power work. We're in a hierarchical society, and you're in a microcosm of that hierarchy. How did you think it would be different?
I went to their house, you could see the vacuum marks in their carpet. I remember that very distinctly. And, so basically she talked about how she would talk in a soft tone and she would make sure she had vacuumed and all of these things. And she was looked at as this perfect wife because she was housing this amazing gift in her home. And the temple presidency was kind of like that too. So these are all the things that I'm talking about. This was not a rule that we were necessarily handed out that said the patriarch is more important or the temple president is more important. That was an unspoken rule, or I don't know how else to put it. It's just
it's a tradition and it's pretty normal. I don't really know what you're even talking about there. Lindsay says, I'm reminded of what Jesse Hildebrandt said about their Aunt Jody regarding Jody possibly not doing what she did if she was granted the priesthood by the church. Megan's reminding me of that. Bitter. Yeah, that's a really great insight, Lindsay. I think that's really spot on. Yeah, right. This is not someone like, I mean, part of what's really aggravating about this is Megan's claims that she has deconstructed Mormonism, and she has deconstructed her whole faith, and she is now healed up from it, and so she can move on and tell everybody else what to do, when she is clearly engaged in this push-pull with Mormonism that Mormonism is not even aware of. You know what I mean? Like, she came out and gave her I'm leaving Mormonism statement and doing all this. Like, I literally think she was trying to be somebody like Amy McPhee, right? She was trying to get that attention for herself and be the go-to person in the way that she was being the go-to person in the Lori Daybell case. Again, getting something for nothing, right? She's just yeah, she's not. I don't get the sense of her being deconstructed from this at all.
Something you were taught. But
Yeah,
I don't think anyone ever sat me down and was like, the patriarch is really important, so you need to be reverent around him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Kirsten, we know what you're saying. Everybody understands how things are kind of learned by osmosis as you grow up. I mean, practically every societal more is kind of, we pick up on stuff. Like, for heaven's sakes, I also like vacuum lines, Denise. Like, I don't...
No, exactly. It was just all of this sort of unspoken or undertone dialogue.
But who cares? Like, what is your critique of that? Why is that a problem? Why is that meaningful? Why is it important? Why are you bringing it up? What does it mean about Mormonism? What does it mean about patriarchy? What does it mean about hierarchy? What does it mean about structures of power? Is it endemic in the church? Is it specific to the church? Is it something that is going on in society at large? Is it something that happens only in hierarchical societies, or do egalitarian societies experience it too? Why are you bringing this up? Please make a single fucking point. We've been here for 41 minutes.
And I just want to talk about this for 1 second too, because we know this for a fact, because it has been reported by many sitting bishops and sitting stake presidents on Mormon Stories podcast that the way that they choose the bishops and the stake presidents partially is by who's paying the most tithing.
Yeah.
They literally get a short list of everybody in the stake who is...
Oh my God, are you saying corruption exists within this large organization? Are you even kidding me? That people are buying their way into positions of power? Are you
paying the most tithing? And they look at their family situation and they look at their, church membership record to make sure there's not an asterisk there. But even when they're... Anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
It can be removed me.
Then why did you bring it up? What was your point in bringing it up? What is your point? What's your point? What's your point, Megan? Look at her, right? She's like, oh my God, it's just so... Like what? It's just so what? What's your point? What is your point? This is how hierarchies work. Are you going to explain hierarchies to us, or why they exist, or how they came to be, or the fact that they are in opposition to egalitarian societies, hierarchical societies, and that we have been living in a are you going to anything at all? I learned more about hierarchical societies this morning than these two are ever going to know. And it literally took me like an hour while I was walking the dog.
Again.
It can be removed, and it has been removed. Anyway.
And it has been. Yep.
Anyway, the people who pay the most tithing get elevated to the leadership positions.
I'm shocked. I tell you, it's shocking. I'm completely shocked. Is this true? Is this true? Have you heard of this, people? It's shocking.
Period. You will almost never see a poor stake president or a poor bishop.
Yeah.
It is just one of those rules that just happens. And it kind of goes.
Is it one of those rules that just happens? Wow, great insight, Megan. It's one of those rules that just happens, people. Aren't you glad that we came to Megan's TED Talk about hierarchy and power structures?
Goes into the in-speak of everything that happens in Mormonism, where, yes, the patriarch is revered. And so we think of him as being more spiritual. He's probably a past stake president. He's probably a past bishop. He's probably a past mission president. People believe that he has elevated himself to a higher spiritual plane. And so, yes, people, bow their head in his presence. People call him patriarch. Yeah. And also, yes, the wife is also.
They've already said all this. And again, so what is your point? Please, anybody make a point other than me and you guys in the chat. You guys are making great points. These two, not so much. I mean, they did make the point that if you go over to outersnarkness.com, you can buy their merch.
Revered, because the wife is the one traditionally who types up the patriarchal blessing as it's being given. And I remember very specifically receiving.
She remembers very specifically. So now we're going to get the expertise of Megan's experience, right?
My patriarchal blessing. I remember my oldest daughter receiving hers. I remember the wife of the patriarch typing up the blessing. She would also have a little recorder there next to her. And then she related to me that she would fast and pray as she typed up the final draft of the blessing. And she would send both the first draft and the final draft to the person whose blessing it was.
Okay, with all the hand gestures and everything, it's I find it really off, because she's not saying anything important or dramatic that requires hand gestures. So it seems really weird, just saying. And also, what is her literal point? Kathy Shields, her shirt says licked cupcake, and Kirsten designed it just for her. So for those of you who don't know, the young Mormon girls were told that if they engaged in premarital shenanigans, they would be compared to a licked cupcake, because nobody wants to eat a licked cupcake. So yeah. So what's her point? What is her point? Why is this a problem, or deconstructing anything, right? This is literally remember how her analysis of the Book of Enos was Enos rhymes with penis. Right? This is her analysis of the Book of Enos, was reading it out loud in a snotty voice, which is not deconstructing it to my mind.
And I just, it was like the wife of the patriarch had to also be spiritually in tune, had to be fasting and praying. Again, yes, the house needed to be clean. There needed to be a spirit of reverence in the home. There were almost never children around. It was always an older couple whose kids had all left. Their grandkids were not present. They would not schedule patriarchal blessings when they had family visitors. It was very much like,
okay, none of this seems outrageous to me, and her tone is so grating, and all the hand gestures, it's very off-putting. Sorry, I've mentioned it twice now, but I'm finding it really annoying. It to me, again, it's that she's trying to get something for nothing here. This is not, you're describing a situation. And we're supposed to read into your over dramatic presentation everything that is wrong with that situation, because you're not capable of actually deconstructing it for us in any way, shape, or form.
A large empty home that was very well ornamented, lots of art, lots of Mormon art on the walls, that kind of stuff. And yes, the patriarch's wife had to be equally as spiritual and as reverential around these blessings.
The word is reverent, and why is that? So what? Why? This is a church. This is a religion. Why would you not expect that the patriarch would be very spiritual and that his wife, his helpmeet, would also be? How is this, like, where's the critique? Please give me some critique.
As the patriarch did. So the patriarch's wife,
Yes.
the bishop's wife, the stake president's wife are all given elevated status in that hierarchy of Mormonism.
And they're talked about that way too. This is something like that we're getting to, that the women.
Oh my God, like, they're literally, all they are doing is describing the hierarchy. They're not critiquing it at all. They're not critiquing hierarchies. They're not explaining the function of a hierarchy. They're not explaining how it keeps everybody in line and how it continues to funnel power to the powerful. They're not doing anything at all.
Are lower than everybody, but
Yes.
also there is a hierarchy in the women, in that, oh, that's the bishop's wife, oh, that's the stake president's wife, oh, that's, that's the patriarch's wife, oh, her
Yes.
husband's the temple president. And
Right.
that was a whole thing too. I remember in Relief Society that often we'd be talking about something and they would ask the bishop's wife to put her 2 cents in.
Yes.
I don't know if you had that experience, Megan, but it was
yeah.
deferring to her. Or they would be like, has your husband ever said anything about this? Right?
Right, exactly. Has your husband, do you have any teaching for us from your husband on this topic, was basically the thing. Also, what we really wanted to talk about tonight was the fact that when a man has a calling, his wife by default also holds that calling in some respects.
Yes.
It goes all the way up to the wife of the prophet, the wife of an apostle, the wife of a mission president, the wife of the stake president, the wife of the bishop, especially the wife of a temple president. The wife of a temple president is called a temple matron. And it is her literal calling to instruct the brides on what they are to do and say and wear on their wedding day, all the way down to instructing them on how to wear and dispose of the magic underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does anybody have any idea why she thinks that this is significant or damning in some way? Because I'm not getting it. Like, again, literally all she's doing is describing a situation and insinuating with hand gestures and facial expressions that there's something deeply disturbing about that situation. And I'm not sure, I have no idea any ideas what she finds disturbing about the wife of the really spiritual guy also being really spiritual? Because I don't even, I've lost track of what she's even trying to say here.
This is a job she did not ask for. This is a job she never aspired to. None of these women.
Oh my God, she's coming suspiciously close to making a point here. I'm not sure it's a good one, but it is a point.
Women, I don't think, well, I shouldn't say that, because there are those women
who
are social climbers who are like, I want to be the bishop's wife.
Yep,
but
I was definitely going to say that.
Again, right? Attacking Mormons instead of attacking the church.
Megan,
for the most part, though.
Yeah.
Yes, there are those women who aspire to be in a higher rank in society, in Mormon society.
Yes. People like Megan herself, who, having failed at that, came over and tried to elevate herself on YouTube as some kind of a truth teller and cycle breaker, where she could write a book and start a coaching business on the strength of the fact that she is Lori Daybell's cousin and she did a course of EMDR.
Than the rest of everybody else, because they think they're better than everyone else. However, the majority of women that I've encountered in these roles,
right? She's over here talking down to everybody about all these people that she's talking down about. And then she's telling us that those people think they're better than everyone else.
never asked. but it is just a role that you have to play when your husband has a certain calling. And there was a woman in our stake whom Kirsten knows, and we can't do this and say don't record it.
No, and say no.
We're live. But you know who it is.
Text me.
Somebody whose husband was the stake president. And at the same time that he was the stake president, she was called to be the stake relief society president.
I know who it is. Yes.
Yes, I'm sure you would know.
That was crazy. Yes, I remember. I remember
the
that
State
really
Relief
well.
Society president is a very time-consuming calling. But again, it's kind of like the comment that I put up earlier is that the men also have to have a job or a business where they have the luxury to take time off for all the weddings and the funerals and the interviews and all the things that come with being a bishop. Like, there is absolutely no way that a shift worker could be a bishop. Because you have to be present for all of these things. And I remember the stake president of whom we are speaking.
Okay, all right. This is really tedious now because, not everybody can be the stake president. And obviously there are going to be requirements to fulfill that position, and you're going to need to be available for them. And this is the society that we live in, and we have classes, and we have this is not specific to the Mormon church. We have material reality to deal with. All of us have to deal with material reality and the fact that there's only so many hours in a day, and that the systems of power that we were born into sometimes lock us out of things, right? But the way she's talking about it is as though, I don't know how to say it. I'm not sure what I'm saying here. I just feel like these things are all very obvious. And again, all she's doing is kind of poking pins at this thing without ever describing, but why is this a big problem? Why is this a societal problem? Why do we need to change that? Why are hierarchies bad? What can we do to change that? How can we move forward, right? It all just seems to be about picking at the Mormon church and using specific Mormons to do it.
Kirsten.
Yes.
Taking time off of work, of his very demanding job at work, to go and do all of these extra things. And it was thank goodness that I've been at this company for 25 years because I have enough PTO where I can take a day off and it doesn't affect. But can you imagine, I'm just thinking of one of my sons who's a welder. Can you imagine, if he was a welder in his 50s, called as a bishop, and he's like, I know I've got a 12-hour shift today, but I also have to preside over a funeral of not my family member, but it's a religious thing. So can I go ahead and take the day out? They'd be like, no.
Yes.
So you have to have the type of a career. And the woman.
Okay. She's literally, these two are literally just having a bitch session live on YouTube. She just sounds jealous. Yeah. What do you even, what?
And who is called to be a stake relief society president, or even a ward relief society president. You can't have
demanding.
a full-time job and do that also, because you have to meet with women, you have to do food orders, you have to do charitable service, you have to organize all the charitable service, you have to be counseling with the other women all the time.
Okay, but what's your point? You've made the point that you can't have a full-time job and also be the president of the Relief Society. Why does that matter? Why is that important? Who is being harmed by this? How might we change it? Is there something else we can compare it to it in the larger society? Nothing.
I remember when I was in the Young Women's presidency, and they were having meetings at 10 o'clock on a Thursday. And I was like, I'm at work. I can't.
Right?
Be there.
No.
They'd be like,
Well, when
don't
they're all
worry,
like
sister.
stay-home moms, yeah, they're like, we'll
They're like,
figure it
"Don't worry.
out.
We'll fill you in. We'll tell you what assignment we gave
Yeah.
you for the upcoming weekly activity." I was like,
Great. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Right, Crusha? Why don't they come with solutions to the so-called problems? They don't. They don't have any solutions. They don't have anything to offer. But they want you to buy their merch. That's who Megan is, right? It's interesting because even though this is like everything's changing and it's a big switch over from the midlife revolution, it's exactly the same. Nothing has changed. She's exactly the same person. She wants something for nothing. She has nothing to offer. She thinks that her personal experiences take the place of an education, right? She thinks that she can just walk in here and just talk off the cuff about stuff and that she deserves to be praised for that. There's no change here at all, except that she's wearing this stupid licked cupcake shirt and she's shrieking with laughter instead of with the school marming.
So these are all the like things that make Mormonism so difficult. And
see, that is snark. I love you people for providing the actual snark. Maury says Megan is here for all the plumbers who were denied stake presidency, right? Like, yeah, that's what Megan's all about, right? Exactly. She's just here for the people.
if you have any sort of real life situations going on, you're put down as being like someone that's not quite ready to be like a fully, intact. I don't know, fully good, fully committed. Yes. Yeah. Intact. More.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Jenny Ballet Flat says, Maury, little does Megan know there are plenty of blue-collar bishops. So there you go, right? See, I don't know anything about Mormonism, so I wouldn't know that, which is why I love it that it takes a village. We got to all have our information at the ready against these idiots. Look at her face. Like, I just find her so objectionable. She's got that expression on her, like she's like, yeah, I'm killing it here with the ex-Mormon snark.
Your faith is intact. But seriously, and that brings us back to ward council, because ward council, everyone sits around and talks about the issues going on in their specific organization, whether that be young women's, young men's, primary, whatever. And they basically tell the bishop all of the gossip of the ward.
Right.
And the bishop tells everybody how to deal with it, or we'll all bring them in. Well, we'll do this.
Okay, sorry. I'm losing it with these people. Hey, Garth David, nice to see you. Glad you could make it. I have just finished talking about these two people for 2.5 hours, and I think I've reached the end of my ability to care about them. But I did want to share. I put in the links in the description, but I watched this video today. The channel is What is Politics, and the video is the origins of patriarchy and dominance hierarchy, what David Graeber and Jordan Peterson missed. So he's doing this. He does this presentation in response to a couple of other, Jordan Peterson being one of them, a couple other social scientists. But it is just a fascinating little video. The link is in the description. He talks all about the change from egalitarian societies to hierarchical societies that took place when human beings went from hunter-gatherer societies to agricultural societies, and all of the reasons for that, and why those things happened, and why, in fact, the whole idea that people that agriculture was actually superior to hunter-gathering is actually not true. That agriculture was something that people resorted to when there was climate stuff going on or whatever that was causing their ability to hunt and gather to be difficult, so that they would do agriculture for a while, but as soon as they were able to go back to hunting and gathering, that's what they would do. And it took a while before these things changed over. And one of the big changes when it did happen was that they had gone from, so these egalitarian societies, men and women both hunted and they both gathered. And of course, women had children to, they had babies, and they would be not able to necessarily do the big game hunting and stuff, but they hunted smaller animals, and things were equal, and it was a shared value in the society, right? And they made efforts to make sure that everyone was taken care of and everything was equal. And part of the way that was helped along was that they had smaller communities that they were able to manage this with. And that part of the reason that happened was because when they breastfed their children for a long time, and the hormones that are produced by breastfeeding act as a natural birth control. And so they didn't have children constantly. They had smaller families, and they were able to, so the women weren't, sort of overburdened by enormous numbers of children all at one time and all that kind of thing. And then once they started having agricultural societies, and they had domesticated animals, they stopped breastfeeding, and so they were using cow's milk and stuff like that. And then so women were then suddenly having babies once a year instead of once every several years, and people were staying in one place, and so they were able to accumulate wealth for the first time. It's just a super fascinating little video, and he does a beautiful explanation of it. And he also puts Jordan Peterson and David Graeber in their place very nicely at the same time. But yeah, it's like, Megan could have done a minimum of research here, and she could have come up with quite a fascinating little video about hierarchy in general. And then he talks about how patriarchy started, right? And patriarchy started when people were marrying, so they would deliberately marry out of their tribe, right? Because they don't want inbreeding. So people would go and marry in other tribes, but then so they had societies that were patrilocal, which meant that the wife would move to the community of the husband. That's where patriarchy started, because women they did it to avoid inbreeding, and to strengthen alliances between tribes and for defense and stuff like that. But it resulted in men being in communities where they had grown up with the same family and the same communities and the same people. They knew all their same cousins, and all the men, they were surrounded by men that they had grown up with, the leaders, the religious leaders, the whatever, right? All their lives. And the women were taken from their communities and sat over here by themselves, right? Without that. And so they didn't have the connection with the other women. They were all often, maybe their language wasn't the same or whatever. The connections for women were lost. And that was how patriarchy started. And they're like, he even talks about, the first time that a man hit a woman in one of these patriarchal, patrilocal societies, because it didn't used to happen. If they hit a woman, the woman would hit the back so much more times, and her whole family would get together and beat on him and blah, blah, blah. And he would never be allowed to do this sort of thing. But now the woman is in this patrilocal situation where she's been completely removed from her own family, and she's isolated and alone. And all the men are, the guy hits his wife, and she doesn't have a whole family to come back on him right now and put him in his place, and he gets away with it. Looks around, right? And the other guys are like, yeah, women, they're annoying. I don't blame you, right? They're also demanding, blah, blah. And everybody's like, yeah. And so the next guy does it because he gets away with it, right? And this is how, fascinating video. I cannot recommend it enough, right? Megan could have watched that video and given you a little rundown on it, and then made some connections to Mormonism, and maybe thrown in an anecdote or two from her own personal experience. And instead she gave us dog shit, which is what she usually serves up. So not super surprising, but I do feel like, I got that email from somebody calling themselves Noni Friend last week saying that I'm pathologically obsessed with Megan. And I mean, obviously that's not the case. But I do feel like it's important to call out her nonsense and try to get this sort of the actual truth about her out there, right? Before she manages to reinvent herself. Yeah. Who's JP? I really like JP. I don't know who JP is. I'm trying to think. Jolene Punzer? Nope. Megan's victim appropriation is on full display as always. Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Oh, JP. Jordan Peterson. Okay. I am not a fan, but I understand that lots of people are, so fair enough. We don't all have to have the same opinion about everything. Yes, I mean, I think it's important, right? Like she's going to be, this is the family approved member that's going to be over at Trisha's end of the world party that she has specifically been asked to not. Yeah, Noni is their grandmother's name. Noni. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's Megan that sent me that email. I'm sure it is, but yeah. These people are gross, and I feel like we need to dog their steps, right? We need to not let them rest and not let them put bullshit out there that isn't contested in some way, right? So I mean, I do feel like maybe sometimes it's a little bit boring or it's a little bit much. Like, why are you talking about Megan again? Like, hey, she's boring, I get it, but I am no fan of this woman getting a foothold on the internet. I think she needs to, I mean, the thing about Megan is that she could, like, instead of taking in, right, the criticisms, all these people have said you're a narcissist, all these people have said that you're a psychopath, all these people have said you're a sociopath, all these people have said you're a problem. Instead of looking at yourself and going, maybe this is true, why don't I go, like she could literally, it would be fascinating, right? She could go get herself a whole whack of personality tests, find out exactly what her personality disorders are, and come back and go, okay, yeah, you guys were right, these are the things, and this is how I'm trying to deal with it, or this is where, you know what I mean? Like literally anything at all. But she's completely incapable of any kind of self-reflection, so that'll never happen. And that's what the problem is with these types of people, right? Is they don't. The whole, I mean, I don't know what Megan's disorders are exactly. I'm no therapist. I can't say it, but I know from her behavior, right, that these from the traits that she displays openly on the internet, that she is disordered, and because of that, she's dangerous, right? I mean, look at how much she's harmed people already. Right? And we're talking about harming people who have already been victimized in the worst way, right? People who are not in any condition to fight back. People who have no platform to fight back. She has no scruples. She has nothing but a voracious need for attention. And I mean, maybe she's even happy with the negative attention. Maybe she even likes it, right? Maybe it makes her feel important. But to me, that doesn't matter as much as people knowing who this woman really is, and the lengths that she was willing to go to defame her family members so that she could gain, fame on the internet as this insightful expert on the Cox family and on disordered family systems, right? Like, just disgusting. She manufactured fucking evidence against Summer. She told straight up fucking lies about her that you can debunk by literally just going back and looking at the things that she's talking about and seeing that it's not the way she said it was. Like, she is completely lacking in any kind of ethics whatsoever, and that makes her a dangerous person. Plus, she comes after Kresha, and fuck that noise, right? Fuck that noise. We're not having that. So, I'm gonna go. It's just about time to feed the little dog here. So thanks for coming. I'm going to do another Lauren video next time, I think. And when is it's coming right up, like next week, right? Trisha's thing. Are we doing anything on the day to like counter it or anything? Megan has Cox envy. Nice one, Shirley. Nice one. Yeah. So thank you guys. I love you all for being so engaged with this and being so thoughtful and analytical in the comments. Some of the things that Megan said today about the LDH church is fabricated. It's just, well, stuff she made up for her own personal gain. See, I don't know that, right? That's why I need people like you. Are you Sunny now? That's why I need people like you to come and help me to deconstruct Megan. Really. Deconstructing Megan. What's happening here? Difficult research. If you'd like to contribute, it would be much appreciated. How? Tell me how. Email me or tell me, what do I need to do? Are you doing a thing? Did I miss some other comment that you made? Are you doing a thing on the day? I would absolutely love to contribute. Just tell me what you need from me, Kresha. Yeah, so email me, Kresha, if you want. My email is, you have my email. We have emailed, so you should have it in your, you should have it anyway. It's dreadfulpennytruecrime@gmail.com. Okay, so I love you guys. I will see you next time, and thank you all for coming. And I will love you and leave you until next time. I got a new camera, so I'm not handling it very well. Bye.